Yeah, on the stage, okay. All right. Well, you know, Nigerian kids, we know, we do as we're told. Doesn't matter how old we get, right? On the stage. So thank you so much for the invitation to be here this evening. It is an honor to celebrate International Women's Day. It is an honor to celebrate the third annual coming together organized by the Manitoba Women for Sudan. And I want to thank a number of people in the room, but I want to thank everybody here for taking the time on your Saturday evenings to share space and hold space with one another and to build community, because fundamentally the way that we can collaborate and work collectively to make sure that equity happens is by working together and by coming together. And so I absolutely love coming to spaces within community and seeing rooms that look like this, seeing folks from all different communities and backgrounds and experiences taking the time to hold space with one another. So, thank you, Auntie. Bring the Florence push around really quick for that introduction. I'd like to talk a little bit about why, International Women's Day, but why spaces like this mean a lot to me. I'm a first-generation Canadian. I'm Nigerian, obviously. You know the village that I come from now. And I am where I am today because of community. And I am where I am today because of strong Black African women who contributed to myself and my family being able to be to access resources, to access opportunities. And one concrete example I can think of is, I don't even know how old, I think it was 12 actually. I was 12 years old, and I was raised going to All Saints Anglican Church, which is at the corner of Colony and Broadway, if you're familiar with that church. And it was my confirmation. My community members, fellow community members, had a sneaking suspicion that maybe if it were left to my father to get us there on time, we might be late and miss our own confirmation. So the women came together, and you're laughing because you're like, oh my gosh, but it's true. And one of our community aunties made sure to pick us up, get us there on time, make sure we were comfortable, go over everything with us. And sure enough, my father was late to get there. He was late. But as a family and as a community, that was a really important marker for myself and my older sister. And it was, an auntie and community making sure that my parents didn't have to stress out that day. They were already a little bit stressed out and excited and anxious. And they wanted to make sure they could make it a little bit easier for us to all be there as community, as family on time. And, over the past couple of days, I've been doing a lot of talking in groups of women and youth and girls, and talking about what this International Women's Day theme, equal to equal, even means. What does that even, when we think about that, when we think about the hashtags and the themes attached to a really big international or global event, what does that mean? And, for me, it really does go back to community. I'm very competitive, so I do say sometimes, the first Black woman elected to the Manitoba Legislative Assembly because they checked the box first that night on election night. Audrey Gordon, she's a conservative MLA. She's one of the three of us who were elected for the first time, Black people who were elected. She says she's the first Black woman sworn in to the Manitoba Legislative Assembly. So it's very, Jamie Moses gets to say he's the first Black man elected. It's a whole thing. But when I think about equal to equal, and I think about what it means when folks, especially I think about, because I am Black, because I am first generation Canadian Nigerian, I think about what it means for someone like myself and members in our communities to achieve and to break barriers and to accomplish and to set new milestones. What does it mean that my sister sent me a text message a few days ago? A friend told her that her daughter had done a school project, and she took a picture, sent it to my sister, she sent it to me. She'd done her school project on me in terms of Black history and making history. which is very strange for me that that's something now that the three of us, Jamie Moses, myself, and Audrey Lori, get to be a part of. But it's not something that was able to happen by myself. You know, we break barriers, we achieve things, we set new milestones, we take up space that was designed for us not to be in it because people walk alongside us and people recognize the opportunities we deserve to access and they help us achieve them. And so, you know, this is a really interesting year. It's a really big year. There are so many things happening globally. There are so many things happening in our own city where people are coming together and rising up and saying and demanding that, you know, it's not good enough that we just make our voices heard. It's not good enough that we take up space. We need concrete, tangible changes to happen. We need truly equal to be action. And, you know, going back to a bit of my own personal experience, I know that had it not been for the support of community members my entire life, I wouldn't be where I am today in this room with all of you, you know, talking about how important it is to lift one another up and to especially lift up those who have it a little bit harder time accessing the opportunities that we all deserve to access. So Auntie Florence mentioned that I played basketball. I did. I was very, very good. My knees are not good anymore, and so I don't play basketball anymore. I sometimes I'll play little kids because, you know, they think I'm old. Strange how like little ones, I ask them, how old do you think I am? They're like 70. I'm like, what? But it's interesting. So I shared with someone recently, I shared this in a space recently that, you know, as an athlete, as a young athlete, growing up as a first-generation Nigerian kid in the south part of Winnipeg in St. Norbert, predominantly white community, very, very few families of color in St. Norbert at that time. My parents were really busy. They had 5 kids, working constantly, trying to make sure they could keep a roof over our heads, food on the table. And so me as a young athlete, my parents, you know, they certainly did the best that they could, but there were a lot of ways I had to be pretty independent. I had to kind of figure out, you know, getting to sports and getting to tryouts and things like that. And recently I've been reading a lot about how young athletes, there's a lot of studies done, research done that shows that the more involved with multiple sports athletes can be, the better it is for them as an athlete overall. So not to just focus on one sport only. And I was that kid. I played a lot of sports, and I think it was about the 10th grade, I was playing volleyball. And one of the parents of another teammate of mine in school, she noticed how good I was at volleyball, even though basketball was my primary sport. That was like my be-all, end-all. But she saw how good I was at volleyball, and she pulled me aside and said, you know, there's this tryout for this club volleyball team happening, and I really think you should go. And I didn't even know what club volleyball was. I had no clue. I was like, what is club volleyball? Like, what is that even? She's like, well, it's like a specialized team. You've got to try out, and it's only specific girls that get to play if they make it, and they get to travel. I had never traveled for sports, didn't really know that you could. And I was like, okay, I mean, it sounds great, but I mean, I don't know how I'm going to get to the tryouts. It kind of just was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it happen. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I will drive you. My daughter wants to go, and I'm going to drive you to this trial. I'm going to make sure that you get there, and I'll make sure you get home. And they didn't live in the same community. They didn't live in St. Norbert. They lived actually further out of town than we did. And I said, well, okay, I guess if it's going to be made that easy for me, I guess I'll go check it out. Now, I think she knew that her daughter wasn't going to make the team, to be completely honest. Her daughter was pretty good. She was okay, but well, like, you know, I didn't realize, I knew as soon as I showed up, this was a really serious volleyball team. And so we go to this tryout, you know, we both try our best. Her daughter gets cut, I don't get cut, I get invited back to keep trying out. And now I'm thinking, well, this is exciting. I had no idea that I could, you know, compete at this level, but how am I going to get there? This mom kept driving me to tryouts. Even though her daughter had no chance of making, she had been cut already, she insisted on still driving me to the tryouts. And then I made the team, which I was shocked. I didn't know anything about that world, that level of elite sport in volleyball nonetheless, but I made the team. I was excited, but I was instantly anxious because I realized, I was like, okay, great, I made the team. The tryouts are all the way in Westgate. I didn't even know where Westgate's somewhere way over there in the city. You know, they're a couple times a week. How am I gonna make this happen? And immediately after that was done, another parent came up to me, introduced herself to me, and said, she's already let me know who you are. I actually live in St. Norbert. My daughter is gonna be on this team. Would you be okay with us carpooling? I can pick you up and drive you to practices and bring you home. You won't have to worry about it. So this mom, who let me know about an opportunity I didn't even know existed, not only made sure I got to and from tryouts after her kid was no longer, you know, being able to access that opportunity, she also made sure that another parent in the community could keep me going to and from practices after I made the team. And the interesting thing about that is, you know, volleyball at that level, and I'm talking a lot about sport because it really did help shape who I am in so many ways, but that level of competition really changed my athletic ability overall. I became a totally different athlete being trained and disciplined as a volleyball player that way, and it was pretty much right after that my opportunities exploded in sport. Went to university on a scholarship. It completely changed the trajectory of my life. And that's because, you know, a lot of folks contributed to that because one person though in community saw a kid that she thought there are some barriers there, but this kid deserves to access this opportunity just as much as any other kid. And she got rid of those barriers and made sure that I had access to the opportunity that I did deserve, but I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own, for whatever the reasons are. And that had a tangible impact on the direction of my life. And so this International Women's Day, I've been thinking a lot about the people in my life who supported me, who contributed to me being able to take these steps in a direction that has led me to being in this room with all of you. And I really think that it's our responsibility as individuals and as community to recognize how do we make the lives of other people who deserve to access the opportunities that other folks access? How do we make sure that every single member of our communities has the same access to opportunities within our capacity? It means that we do whatever it is within our capacity to make those barriers either go away completely, make things a little bit easier, make the path a little bit, you know, straighter and safer for folks. And I think that we each in our own ways can contribute to that. And so I encourage everyone, you know, this is why we're here together, is to celebrate, it's to honor, it's to lift up, it's to get to know one another, it's to connect, and it's also to figure out ways concretely how we can make sure that the women and girls in our communities who are disproportionately not included in every opportunity that they absolutely deserve to be included in are. And it's within each of us to contribute to making that a reality. Equal to equal is exactly that. Each of us have it within our capacity. And I'm looking at the men in the room, especially, the men in the room really and truly, because women and girls have been shouting this from the rooftops for a really long time. And you know, I like what was said earlier, we really do need folks who, you know, maybe in some ways don't have the same challenges and barriers a lot of women and girls face. You know, we need everyone to step up and contribute just a little bit to make sure that we all have access to the opportunities that we deserve. So I'm really grateful to be here this evening. Thank you for allowing me to share space with you. And I want you all to know that, you know, in my capacity as an MLA for Union Station, I'm here for you. You know, I want to celebrate on a daily basis, not just one day out of the year. International Women's Day and the work that, you know, the women in the community are doing is an everyday event to be celebrated and acknowledged. And if there's any way that I can help in making sure that that's a reality in Winnipeg, then please do let me know, and I'll be there for you and with you. Thank you.